because, quote unquote, right now, masculinity is under attack, there's a large distrust now between men and women. That means they have to be more aggressive. They can't be.
Facts. So would you consider that the masculinity crisis?
It definitely seems like it.
Previously on the Mature Topics Podcast.
Yeah, like referring to what you talk about masculine and feminine, there's a large distrust now, right, between men and women. I've spoken to single mothers who said that, they have to do certain things because if they don't do it, they don't have anybody else around that's going to do it, even though that might mean they have to take on more masculine traits. That means they have to be more aggressive. They can't be passive. They can't do what we would say would be more feminine because they have to, right?
Right.
And because, quote unquote, right now, masculinity is under attack, some dudes like, what's the point of going in the other direction? Because a lot of guys would say, this is the worst time to be a man, because everything is toxic. As soon as you exert your masculinity, it is struck down as being toxic if it's not in accordance with the current social settings, social norms.
So what are these norms? What are these norms that? Because I don't think that there is a universal standard anymore.
I agree. I think it's whatever people say.
I do think there was a time when there kind of was by default, only because of the exact roles men and women had at different periods in time. So back in the day, when the man actually worked and the woman actually were in the household, it was easier to have universal kind of standards because you had all the men out, all the women at home. Today, it's the opposite of that. Most people are out together. You don't have, so it's kind of, so what does, you said masculinity, is under attack, right?
It would seem so.
Okay. Under attack by who?
Well, I think any reference to traditional ways, it seems garners some kind of animosity, like as if you're taking freedom from people. You know what I'm saying? Like some ladies would be like, what, like, should I be barefoot in the kitchen? It's like, whoa, I'm not saying anything about being barefoot in the kitchen. Like, that's an extreme. Like, I understand the negative associations they're trying to make with a time where that was the case. But that's not what guys, I don't think that's what guys are referencing nowadays. I can't speak for guys, but my group, it doesn't seem like that's what they're saying. They don't want a woman barefoot in the kitchen. Like, this is modern times, man. Like,
right.
Y'all pay bills together, be like, what you doing, girl? You gotta work too.
Facts. So would you consider that the masculinity crisis?
I think it's a horrible time to exert it now. It definitely seems like it because anytime it feels like you're taking something from somebody when you do that. So a lot of guys would rather be quiet about it. But yeah, I was saying that. Do you think, based on what I was referencing earlier about, like in certain cases, women have to be more masculine, and in certain cases, men kind of don't bother with the masculine side of things because it's like you want to be a man to potentially get a woman, to have a family, to build a community and legacy. But if that's no longer a alluring prospect because of some of the stuff we discussed before,
right?
Where does this end?
Well, Kimmy, you want to chime in? You've been going for a little while.
I think it ends when we get rid of these social constructs. That's when it ends.
Good answer.
Like I was explaining before you came on here, Nick, that there's this woman that I follow who I actually admire, by the way. She doesn't necessarily fit that definition of femininity. She cannot cook to save her life. She does not clean. Her husband gardens, he cooks, he cleans, he does most of the things that the woman is supposed to be doing. Besides from like the children, she definitely does most of that. But also they have a nanny too as well. They have a nanny and her mother who helps a lot. But she works. And from what the viewers see, it may seem like, and I don't know their finances, it seems like she makes most of the money because she has more hustle than he is. He's a dancehall artist in Jamaica, right? But the point is, it works for them. It completely works for them. This man worships the ground she walks on. They've been together for so many years. They have 2 beautiful children, and they're happy. You know, it works for them. So the social construct, they just didn't apply that to their lives. When he met her, she couldn't cook. He knew. He knew she don't clean. You know, and he still got with her because there were other qualities that I guess made that less important because, well, even he can cook, you know, he can cook, which actually a lot of Jamaican men, because I know my brothers are like that too. They're like, they don't really look for women that could cook because my brothers, they can cook. Well, a lot of
probably like their food a certain way too.
That's true too. You know, so my brothers, baby mothers, no shade to them if they ever see this, but they can't cook. And that's okay because he cooks, you know? So I feel like we just have to get rid of these constructs and look for a person that makes you happy and aligns with your morals, I guess, not just cooking and cleaning and not necessarily finances. I'm not telling you to go pick up anybody that's broke, men or women, but just pick someone.
That's a no-no on the Mature Topics podcast.
No, brokenness is a no-no. Brokenness is for high school. High school, you date
But I think...
A slight interjection real quick. Just to like piggyback off of what Nick was saying, because I found it to be interesting when you said, you know, nowadays it's like, it's not really a good time to exert that type of traditional approach in society on women. It's almost like you're taking freedoms away. But could it possibly be that, realistically speaking, that traditional way of being really was detrimental to women? Because I know of so many stories. Yeah, like, or just you, or just even a rhetorical question just for everyone to think about. Because, like, you know, what are the stories of our grandparents? You know what I'm saying? What are the stories of other grandparents who you probably didn't know certain things until a grandparent passed away, and then you you learned that maybe your grandmother was abused, you know, or your great grandmother was abused, your great grandfather was abusive to his wife, though you probably didn't know that when they were alive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. What really is like the backstory to that traditional way of being, which is the man really having total authority and control over his wife, strictly because she didn't have any rights. Women didn't have any rights. So it's like when we talk about reverting back to or wanting to implement those traditional attributes of masculinity or femininity in relationships, role playing, if you will, I think we really have to get into a deep dive conversation about the mental aspect of that arrangement and the type of harm that it really exerted on women.
I agree, but I think what we're seeing is a reversal. I don't think it's necessarily... I think it's more so of a reversal, actually. It's not, and which I'm not saying that these negative things didn't happen. Of course, I don't see a difference anymore. It's just like it's literally just a reversal, because you can look at the carcasses of men's lives from the past, 10, 20, 30 years, and it's so much easier to ruin a man's life now. Easily, even if it's a lie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So maybe it's not a physical thing, but there's other aspects where you can really put a man in some jeopardy. I've seen it. It's happened to a friend of mine, actually, upstate, but luckily he had some strings to pull to get himself out of it. But you can imagine somebody who doesn't have the strings. Mm-hmm. They just got to suffer it. But I don't know. I think, and honestly, I don't even think it should reverse back. Because, listen, man, some guys will go too far. But
I think it just needs to balance out.
but you got to have an oscillation before you get balance. It's going to swing back
yeah, I
to the
mean, you're gonna
ladies,
go
to the
through some stuff.
men, to the ladies until we find a happy medium.
Yeah, you're gonna go through some stuff, but women have gone through a lot in history. So
Absolutely.
if it's time for the men to get a little fire, so be it. I know the
Yo,
men don't want to
Koron
hear
is a
that,
man for all people, bro. I'll let us do that.
but I'm the balancing act. I come to balance the equation. I feel like there's an imbalance. These are scenes from the previous episode in the Mature Topics podcast. Subscribe and watch it now on the Koron Pierre YouTube channel. Hit that bell icon so you get all your notifications. And like the video so more people can see the video. Thank you for watching the video. If you really enjoy the content, why don't you take the time to subscribe to the channel? Hit that bell icon so you get all your notifications. And then like the video so more cool people can check out the video. And listen, you can also show your support by sending a Cash App, Koron Pierre, $, Cash App. You know how to do it. Also, you can go to the PayPal and support that way as well. The link's in the description. We also are Amazon affiliates. That's another way you can support. Now, listen, we have one of the hottest podcasts. That's why I got this up behind me. Look at this, the Mature Topics Podcast. We go live each and every Thursday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have one of the livest discussions on the internet because we talk about those topics that are uncomfortable, that are needed to talk about. We learn things, we connect with experts and advocates, people with experience. So we don't just have a bunch of people just making things up. Listen, this is one of the most important podcasts based off the content and the conversations. I think you will enjoy it. You need to be there each and every Thursday. That's all for this video. Until next time, stay blessed.